Welcome back to Sissy Maya. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Additionally, consider subscribing to my Patreon to get access to these features, and much more.
In my first 2 years of this new life, I remember bits of fun and commotion during diaper changes. Once, during my first birthday party, I grabbed a fistful of frosting from my cake. There's a photo of me with frosting-covered hands in my mouth in the album. Occasionally, memories from my old life would pop into my brain, usually on significant occasions like my first tooth or first steps. The biggest challenge for my new parents was when they started potty training me, and I resisted. After a messy incident, Mom laid down the rules clearly: either start potty training or deal with diaper rash and unpleasant smells. Remembering my experiences with diaper rash, I decided it was time to start potty training. Over the next 3 years, if you were to read a parenting book discussing the terrible threes, I'd probably be the poster child. I had a knack for making messes with everything from cards to candy, keeping Mom busy cleaning up after me. One summer, I made a particularly bad decision that I still remember getting in trouble for years later. I tried to follow my mom and grandmother to lunch despite being told it was for older kids. Left with a talkative teenage babysitter, I slipped out to find them, only to be rescued by a kind couple who noticed me wandering alone. The babysitter was furious when she found us, barefoot and all. That day, I learned a hard lesson, one that I still remember feeling on my backside later when Mom gave me a stern spanking. Elementary school was a blast. On my first day of kindergarten, I struck up a friendship with a girl named Shelley who shared my birthday. To my surprise, she turned out to be the same Shelley I knew from my previous life. Boy, did I have a bone to pick with the Board of Education. Due to a change in the school district's first grade cutoff date, Shelley and I had to repeat kindergarten while our peers moved on. For a whole year, we watched our old classmates head off to first grade from behind a fence. Some of them weren't so friendly, making snide remarks as they passed by. As a result, Shelley and I ended up as the oldest girls in our class. We often got into mischief and blamed it on younger kids, successfully fooling our teachers but never our parents. My old memories didn't help much academically, though. I had to relearn math, English, and everything else kids are supposed to know. Then there were the activities girls typically learn, like piano and dancing. My piano teacher was strict, rapping knuckles with a ruler for any mistake in hand positioning. Then came the girls-only class where we learned about personal hygiene and the mysteries of puberty. Listening to all this was enlightening, given my previous life experience as a man. Eventually, Shelley had a significant day, but not the one I anticipated. I learned about it a day late. It was the last week before 6th grade when I realized I hadn't seen Shelley for a few days. When I called her house, her mom explained, "Shelley isn't feeling well." I offered to visit and keep her company, but her mom assured me it wasn't necessary. When I finally saw Shelley again, she shared what had happened. "Jenny, I got my first period. A few days earlier, I wasn't feeling well. When I mentioned it to my mom, she knew what was happening and kept me home until it started. So the next morning, I woke up to find blood on my pad." "So, how was it? Was it like you expected?" I asked, memories of my past life flashing through my mind. I knew Shelley had eagerly anticipated this milestone of womanhood. The cramps and bloating were tough, but knowing I had taken this step into womanhood made it bearable, Shelley replied. "Periods might seem exciting at first, but we'll be having them every 4 weeks soon enough," I remarked. "They won't be as fun then." Looking at Shelley, I noticed something under her shirt. "Are you wearing a bra, Shelley?" I asked. "Yes, my mom said I should start wearing one now that I've had my first period," she confirmed. I didn't wear my first bra until later, on my 11th birthday morning. "Jenny, come to my room before you get dressed for school," my mom instructed as she woke me up. In her bedroom, she said, "Please take off your pajama top." Then, she handed me a training bra. "Put this on." "Mom, I don't need a bra yet. And I don't know how to put it on," I protested. "Yes, you do. You've worn bikini tops with hooks before. It's the same thing, she reassured me. And I've noticed you scratching your chest this past week. I know your body is changing. Mom, I groaned. No daughter of mine will go without a bra, she insisted, ending the argument. 3 weeks later, on a Saturday night, I had my first period. I hadn't been feeling well a couple of days before this momentous event. My mom insisted I wear a pad, which turned out unnecessary for my first period. As I bathed, I saw blood in the water and screamed. Mom rushed in, and I pointed at the bathtub. I see my little girl has become a young woman, she remarked calmly. What's going on in there? My dad called from outside. Jenny just started her first period, Mom announced. Mom, I protested loudly. He's going to find out sooner or later, she said, noticing something I had observed a couple of weeks earlier, the size of my chest. It seems that's not the only sign of your approaching womanhood. After a few irregular starts, my period settled into a monthly cycle, always inconveniently beginning on a Saturday. By the time I turned 16, my chest had developed to its original size. Though my figure wasn't perfect, it did catch the attention of a few boys. At the start of my junior year, something happened that took time for people to believe. A new girl named Mia joined my high school. She wasn't part of my circle, but gossip about her promiscuity spread quickly. She was the kind of girl you wouldn't bring home to meet your parents. I didn't interact much with Mia until girls' varsity basketball tryouts. By chance, I glanced at Mia's application and noticed her birth date, it was the same as mine. Since we didn't share the same gym class, I hadn't seen Mia undressed until after the first tryout. As we dried off, I noticed a birthmark on her back near her left buttock. It was a shape I recognized from somewhere, but smaller. For 3 days, I racked my brain trying to place where I had seen that birthmark before. Then, on the third night, just as I was about to fall asleep, it hit me like a thunderbolt. Stella is my daughter, I screamed, the realization echoing through the house. My cries brought both of my parents rushing into my bedroom without knocking. What happened? My dad asked urgently. Was it a nightmare? My mom questioned. It's much worse than a nightmare. I just figured out who Mia is, I explained. Who? They both asked simultaneously. One of my daughters, I told them. That's impossible, my dad insisted. The agency assured us something like this would never happen. The revelation of having a daughter didn't shock my parents. The day after my 13th birthday, they had revealed they knew everything about how I came to be their daughter, my gambling debts, and what I did to settle them. We don't care about your past. You could be from Mars for all we care. We love you and always will because you're our daughter now. Who you were doesn't matter, they had assured me, both together and separately. Are you sure? Mom asked. I recounted the details about Mia's birthmark and our shared birthday. What's the issue with that? Shelley and you share the same birthday, Dad remarked. I know something you don't. Shelley and I were in the same program together. We were friends then, and we still are now, I explained. We already knew about it. Both sets of parents were asked if living in the same city would be a problem before the adoption. We wanted a daughter so much that it didn't matter to us, and Shelley's parents were happy to have her back, Dad clarified. Did the organization promise you that my daughter wouldn't appear one day? I demanded, my voice sharp. The organization had nothing to do with the mob. They simply provided volunteers. The process was managed by a private company. They assured us that mothers and daughters would never meet, or at least know they had met, Dad replied. Are you certain Mia is your daughter? Mom interjected. It could just be a coincidence about the date and birthmark. I want to investigate and learn more about Mia, I turned to Dad. Can we contact the company to hear their side? I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll seek the truth, Dad assured. Then he added, Jenny, I don't want anything to jeopardize this secret. You can inquire and look around, but please, don't cause any trouble until I have answers. All right. I won't reveal anything prematurely, I promise. For the next week, my dad remained silent around me. Knowing he never broke a promise, I understood he was investigating. Meanwhile, I pursued my own investigation by befriending MIA. I discovered that MIA was also adopted, shortly after birth. She had no information about her birth parents but expressed a strong desire to find her birth mother. To maintain trust, I shared that I too had been adopted at a young age, similar to her. 7 days after realizing MIA attended the same high school as my daughter, I learned the truth. Upon arriving home from school, I noticed a strange car in the driveway. Inside, a stranger was having coffee with my parents in the living room. "There's Jenny," I heard my mom call out. "Jenny, come meet someone." "Jenny, this is Ms. Abercrombie," my dad introduced. She appeared about 8 years older than me. "Hi," I greeted, though my tone lacked warmth. "Ms. Abercrombie came a long way to speak with you," my dad explained. "She's the one I contacted regarding your inquiries about MIA. You seem young for this line of work," I commented rudely. "Jennifer," my mom almost shouted. "I understand Jenny's concerns," Ms. Abercrombie responded calmly. "How could you possibly understand what I'm feeling?" I challenged her. "Please, call me Clara," she requested. "I understand because I went through a similar experience 8 years ago." "So, you're here to tell me to stop digging into things best left alone," I retorted. "I don't work for those people anymore. I shut down the company and ensured those involved faced other charges and prison time," Clara explained. "I spent a considerable amount to make their lives in prison as unpleasant as possible." "Why would you do that?" I demanded. "I was adopted into an extremely wealthy family. My parents passed away during my final year of college. Seeking justice became my mission," Clara disclosed. "And how does this concern me?" I pressed. "For one, I arranged for Mia's family to move here," Clara revealed. "The company kept minimal records, but we managed to find Mia's information and contacted her without revealing everything. She wants to find you, her mother." "How did you know to send MIA here?" my dad inquired. "From the limited paperwork we recovered, we knew Mia's adoptive parents lived in this area. It was fortunate you recognized the birthmark," Clara explained. "What happens now?" I asked, needing clarity. "We'll arrange a meeting for the 3 girls and their families, where we'll reveal the truth. After that, it's up to the families to decide how to proceed," Clara concluded. 3 girls. I thought it was just MIA and me, I queried. "I received word just yesterday that we've located your other daughter. She lives just outside of Santa Barbara, California. Her given name is Olivia," Clara revealed. "Does MIA or Olivia know anything about me or the program?" I pressed for details. "No, MIA was only informed that her mother might reside in the area. As for Olivia, we've just discovered her, so I have limited information. From my experience, though, 99% of adopted children are happy and loved by their parents," Clara assured. "I count myself among that 99%. If I could have chosen my parents, I wouldn't change them for anything," I declared proudly, seeing the joy on my parents' faces. "We feel the same way about you, Jenny. We wouldn't change a thing," my mom affirmed warmly. Then, stepping into sensitive territory, I asked, "What about my friend Shelley? She's also part of the program." "We're aware of Shelley's situation. Her case is different. As you recall, Shelley was raised as a boy by the same parents who took her back," Clara explained. "Unless circumstances change, we'll leave Shelley be." "Change? How?" I probed. "If Shelley expresses interest in finding her child or if we locate her child and they wish to find their mother," Clara clarified. "Shelley had a son," I remembered aloud. "That's another piece of information we didn't have," Clara noted, checking her watch. "I have to leave now or I'll miss my flight to LA. You mentioned arranging a meeting for us. When will that happen? Also, should I say anything to MIA?" I inquired. "I can't give an exact time frame for meeting Olivia and her family. It could be 2 to 4 weeks, but it's not set in stone. As for MIA, I'd prefer if you didn't tell her. And please, don't mention anything to Shelley either. When the time comes, let her decide if she wants to meet her son, Clara advised. Have you located the father of my children? I asked Clara. He joined the program later. He was in the group after me. No, but you've provided more information than we had before, Clara acknowledged. I'll update you at our next meeting if I find anything. With that, Clara left before we could discuss further. 6 agonizingly long weeks later, we received a call from Clara. Jenny, we've spoken to your other daughter, Clara informed me. When can I meet her? I eagerly asked. You, MIA, and your families will need to come to Santa Barbara. Olivia's mother is in a wheelchair, so it would be best for everyone to gather here, Clara explained. Did you tell Olivia anything about me? What about their father? I inquired. No, I haven't mentioned anything about you, and we're still searching for their father, Clara replied. Olivia does want to meet her birth mother, but she doesn't know about her twin sister yet. Also, Olivia is one of the 99% happy children. So when should we plan to be in California? My dad interjected. Are there any weekends coming up that any of you can't make it? Clara asked. I have an important business meeting next weekend that I can't miss, but any time after that works for us, my dad replied. No issues on our end, my mom and I confirmed. I'll coordinate with MIA and her parents to find a suitable weekend, Clara assured us. I should have everything arranged within the next 3 or 4 days. 4 days later, a letter arrived from Clara. Inside were 3 first-class airline tickets and a note from Clara. Jenny ***. Here are your airline tickets for LA. Don't worry about them being first class. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. MIA and her parents will be on the same flight. A car will meet you at the airport and take you to your hotel, where I've reserved suites for the 3 families and myself. See you then. Clara ***. The flight was scheduled for 9 excruciatingly long days from now. We sat together on the flight. Jenny, why are you and your parents headed to LA? MIA asked curiously. I'm meeting an old friend I haven't seen in a very long time, I replied. What about you? Would you believe I'm hopefully meeting my birth mom? I hope she likes me, MIA responded. She will. All moms love their daughters, I assured her. If she loved me, why did she give me up? MIA questioned. Maybe she had no choice in the matter, I suggested. Are you nervous about meeting her? You bet I am. The lady who helped me find my mom said she found something else, and it's going to be a big surprise to me. I can't figure out what it is, MIA admitted. Don't worry about it. If this lady is kind enough to help you find your birth mom, I'm sure she isn't going to do something that will ruin the whole thing. We shifted our conversation to typical teenage girl topics: boys, school, clothes, and more boys. Finally, the pilot announced we were 15 minutes from landing. Limo drivers were waiting for each family, and we were chauffeured to the Beverly Hills Hilton. This can't be where we are staying, my dad exclaimed in disbelief. My instructions were to deliver you to the BH Hilton. You can go somewhere else if you want, the limo driver informed us. Could you wait until we double-check to make sure this is where we belong? My mom requested. No problem. I was given a flat retainer, which will more than cover the trip from the airport and the trip when you folks leave, the driver replied. Mia's limo pulled up behind ours. Jenny, you are staying here too? MIA asked in surprise. I guess we are, I replied. 5 minutes later, my dad returned. They have reservations for us, so I guess we are staying, he announced. It took a little while to check in and finally get to our room, or should I say, 2-bedroom suite. There was a basket of fruit along with a note from Clara. Jenny ***. Olivia and her parents can't get to the Beverly Hills Hilton until after 7. I have some good news. I'll tell you when I see you. Clara ***. Just then, the phone rang. "Jenny, this is MIA. My meeting isn't until later. Did you bring a swimsuit?" "I'll meet you by the pool," MIA exclaimed before I could get a word in. I had bought a bikini when I found out we were going to LA. When I arrived at the pool area, I found MIA wearing one of the smallest bikinis I had ever seen, barely enough material to cover anything. We lounged around, soaking up the sun and chatting. Eventually, I couldn't help but ask MIA, "Why do you dress like that?" "There isn't enough material to use as a tissue. I'm a tease. I like watching men and boys drool as I pass," MIA confessed. "I've heard that you're more than just a tease," I replied knowingly. "I mean the rumors that I sleep around," MIA clarified. "To tell the truth, I am still a virgin and plan to be that way until my wedding night." By around 5 o'clock, we headed for supper, feeling quite hungry since our stomachs were still on Central Time. After that, we returned to our room, awaiting Clara's call. Eventually, a thought struck me that brought me to my senses. How can I explain all of this to them? I don't even understand it myself, echoed through my mind, though I kept these thoughts to myself. Finally, I impulsively walked to the door. "Where are you going, Jenny?" my mom asked, concerned. I started to cry and blurted out, "I want to go home. I can't go through with this." My mom immediately came over and embraced me, gently running her hand over my hair, just as she had done countless times before when I was upset, whether I had scraped my knee, hurt myself, or simply needed comfort. "You have to go through with this. You owe it to yourself, Olivia, and MIA. They need to meet you and know the truth. Besides, your dad and I won't let you run away from this," she reassured me firmly. Before another word could be said, the phone rang. It was Clara. My dad answered promptly. "Yes, we'll be right up." He then hung up and turned to us. "Clara wants us up in the penthouse." When we arrived at the penthouse, Clara ushered us into another room. "Olivia, MIA, and their parents will be here shortly. I'd like to speak with them first. You can watch what's happening in the other room on the TV screen. I'll call you in when I'm ready," Clara explained. The first to arrive was MIA with her parents. Clara led them into a separate room and asked them to wait until called. 5 minutes later, Olivia wheeled her mom into the room. MIA and Olivia appeared to be identical twins, differing only in hairstyle and clothing. While Mia's appearance was a bit unconventional, Olivia's style leaned towards conservatism. "Pat, last week I told you that you would meet your mother tonight," Clara began. "Is she here?" "Where is she?" asked Olivia eagerly. "She's in another room," Clara replied, "but that's not the only surprise for you." "What else have you done?" "You've already helped my daughter connect with her birth mom." Olivia's mom sounded a bit disappointed. "Are you worried her birth mom will take her away?" "Don't be. I know for sure she has no intention of taking Pat from you," Clara reassured her. "I had no intention of taking Olivia or MIA away from their adoptive parents, even if they wanted me to. So what's the other surprise?" "Any news about my birth father?" Olivia asked. "I do have news about your father, but he's not in the next room." "But would your twin sister suffice in his place?" Clara asked. "Sister? I have a sister," Olivia exclaimed. "An identical twin sister, to be exact." Looking around, Olivia asked, "Where is she? Does she know about me?" "Yes, to both questions," Clara said, turning to the other room. "MIA, could you come here?" I'll never forget the look on Olivia and Mia's faces when they saw each other for the first time. They stood there, tears rolling down their faces. Finally, MIA rushed over and embraced Olivia. Clara and the parents remained silent as the two girls hugged, cried, and whispered to each other. After 10 minutes, the girls composed themselves and introduced their families while we watched from the other room. My mind raced, trying to anticipate their reaction when they discovered their mom was the same age as they were. "Ms. Abercrombie, did you say our mom is here too?" both girls asked in unison. "She's here," Clara confirmed, "but there's a complication." "What could be the problem?" asked Olivia. Just bring her out so we can meet her. Bringing you two together was straightforward. Explaining your mother is another matter, Clara replied, turning to the parents. Do you know anything about how your daughter came to be your daughter? No, replied Bill Watson, Olivia's dad. We didn't adopt MIA through a regular service. My lawyer handled all the paperwork, Bill Watson explained before Clara could say anything else. I decided to get Clara's attention by knocking on the door separating the rooms. I'll be right back. I think your mom wants to talk to me for a minute, Clara said as she walked through the door to my room. My daughters deserve to hear the truth from me, I said, addressing my parents. Mom, Dad, could you wait in the bathroom? Clara, could you bring MIA and Olivia in here? You're right. They deserve to hear the truth from their mother, my mom agreed. Clara returned to the main room. MIA, Pat, your mother is in the other room. She would like to see the two of you alone, Clara informed them. One more thing I can confirm, through a DNA test, that she is who she says she is. As they walked in, I turned to face them. Hi, MIA. Hi, Olivia. Jenny, what are you doing here? MIA asked, bewildered. Who are you, another sister? Olivia questioned. No, I'm not your sister, I replied, then paused. I'm your mother. Their shocked expressions could have been compared to being hit with a 2x4. The stunned silence was shattered by a simultaneous, very loud, what? Before I could say another word, Mia's dad knocked on the door and asked, Are you girls okay in there? Yeah, we're okay, MIA assured him before turning to me. Jenny, are you crazy or something? You're the same age as I am. How can you possibly be my mother? Still trying to process it all, Olivia turned to MIA. Do you know this, girl? Yes, I do. We go to the same high school, and we sat together on the flight out here, MIA confirmed to Olivia. I'm telling you the truth. I am your mother. Didn't Ms. Abercrombie tell you outside that I am who I say I am? I pleaded. How on earth can you be our mother? Asked Olivia, utterly bewildered. I'd like to explain everything to you both, but my parents and Clara know the whole story, while yours don't. Could you prepare your parents and bring them in so I can tell you all together? I requested. I think we should prepare them. I'm not sure about Mia's parents, but mine will be very surprised, Olivia agreed. I listened through the open door as my daughters attempted to prepare their parents. Mom, Dad, we need to prepare you for my mother. She isn't what you would consider a normal-looking mother, Olivia explained to her parents. We don't care if she's short or tall, of a different race. As long as she is your mother, that is all that matters, reassured Olivia's mom. I called my parents out of the bathroom. Jenny, could you and your parents come here, please? MIA asked. Jenny, not Jenny Miller. You mean Helen Miller is your mother? Betty Stone, Mia's mom, questioned. My mom isn't your daughter's mother, I am, I announced as I walked through the door. You could have heard a pin drop. The room was so quiet. Is this some kind of sick joke? This teenage girl cannot be my daughter's birth mother. They look like they're the same age, Miles Watson exclaimed, his voice tinged with anger. This is no joke. Jenny is Olivia and Mia's birth mother. I have the DNA test to prove it, Clara asserted. But how can that be? Andy Stone asked, calmer than Miles. That's the question we all want an answer to, MIA added. First off, you are not test tube babies or something like that. Your father and I had sex, and I carried the two of you the full 9 months. Then you were delivered like all babies are, I began to explain. But how can that be? You are the same age as we are. Olivia demanded to know. My body is that of a 17-year-old girl, but my mind is that of a 38-year-old, I continued. Before I said more, I asked them, are you ready for another surprise? Nothing can surprise us today, Miles said, shaking his head. 38 years ago, I was born a boy, I revealed. What? So much for not being able to be surprised. The exclamation echoed through the floor and the rooms below us. This joke is getting sicker by the moment, Andy Stone remarked, his calm demeanor shattered. Let Jenny explain. I know for a fact she is telling the truth, Clara intervened. How can you possibly know it's the truth? Betty challenged. There is no way I can believe what Jenny is saying. How can you? The reason I know is because the same thing happened to me, Clara explained. 4 to 6 years ago, I was born a boy. I ran into serious trouble with the mob and was given a choice: be transformed into a woman and have a child, or face a slow and painful death. What I didn't know was that after giving birth, they would also regress me into a baby and put me up for adoption. How can something like that happen? I've never heard of such a thing, Miles questioned in disbelief. The mob developed the drugs used to transform Jenny and myself as a byproduct of their drug manufacturing. The quantities were so small that it never became public knowledge. They didn't advertise its existence. If you consider how few transgender individuals or adults who want to be treated as babies would want this drug, it would be impossible for the mob to make a profit off of it. So they went into the baby-producing business, Clara explained. Now, what's your story, Jenny? Olivia asked, her curiosity piqued. By the time I was 21, I owed the mob nearly $100,000. It wasn't death they threatened me with. It was either accept their deal or they would collect their money in a different, more brutal way. I chose not to allow them to castrate me and sell me as a slave to someone in the Middle East, with no chance of return. There's something important I want to share with you, my daughters. During the last 17 years of my life, I couldn't recall much about my past. But when I did remember, I always asked myself one thing: how are my daughters doing? I told Mia and Olivia. I have never forgotten you, and I have loved you and always will. Since you're their birth mother, do you want them to leave us and move in with you? Betty Stone's voice carried concern about potentially losing her daughter. Mrs. Stone, Mrs. Watson, I want to say something from the bottom of my heart. I addressed them both. I'm their birth mother, but I am not their mom. You are. You were there when they scraped their knees. You were there when you talked to them about life's lessons. You were there when their best friend broke their heart. You are their mom and always will be. I can't replace you, nor do I want to. But what I would like to be is their friend. Olivia stood up abruptly and said, "There's something I should have done in the other room." Mia followed suit. "I know exactly what you mean, sis." Without another word, both girls rushed over and enveloped me in hugs and kisses. Our parents watched the emotional reunion of mother and daughters, silently witnessing the bond unfold. "Jenny, could you come here?" Angela Watson asked. As I approached, she hugged and kissed me, adding, "I would like to be your friend too." Betty joined the embrace, saying, "Count me in on that list too." Then Andy Stone spoke, voicing what everyone in both families wanted, including mine. "Jenny, I think I speak for the Watsons and our family. We would love for you to consider yourself part of our family too." "Absolutely, I know Angela, Olivia, and I love the idea," Miles Watson chimed in. Tears began to flow, starting with me and my 2 daughters, followed by all 3 mothers and finally the 3 fathers. Even Clara couldn't hold back her emotions, joining in the tears. "Thank you for making my dream come true," I managed to say amidst tears of joy. There was a sudden, loud exclamation of "What?" Let me explain. Whenever I used to dream about meeting my daughters, it always turned into a nightmare. "I'm grateful this didn't turn out that way," I expressed. 15 minutes of small talk followed as we got to know each other better. "Jenny, how long have you known that I was your daughter?" Mia asked. "Or did you just find out?" "I've known since the first basketball tryouts," I replied. "It took me a few days to recognize who you were. I discussed it with my parents, and my dad confirmed it a week later when Clara showed up. She also mentioned they had just located Olivia and asked me to keep quiet until she arranged this meeting." "How did you figure it out?" Olivia inquired. "And who's older, me or Mia?" "You're older by about 10 minutes, Olivia. Mia has a birthmark on her right buttock. I also saw her application for the basketball team, which listed her birth date as the same as mine. Do you know where our father is? MIA pressed. Clara is the one to answer that question, I deferred. I know where he is, Clara responded. But I think it's best if you girls hear about your dad first. Then I'll explain what's going on in that regard. After making me pregnant, your father decided to join the same program I was in. She gave birth 4 months after you were born. Wait, you mean he's a 17-year-old girl too? Angela queried. She'll be 17 next week, and I've found her, Clara clarified. When can we meet her? Both girls eagerly asked. Not for another year, at least, Clara replied. Let me explain what that means. Jessica wants to meet all 3 of you and her child. But her mom has one condition, which Jessica and I will respect. The meeting can't happen until after Jessica turns 18. That's such a long wait, I remarked. A year isn't too bad. It'll give us time to locate the boy that Jessica had, Clara added. The gathering continued until 3 a.m. As we headed back to our separate rooms, Clara asked, "What's next for you girls?" The 3 of us answered simultaneously, Disneyland,